Hey, you guys, we're at Sharvette Mitchell's Platform Builder 2024 in Richmond, Virginia, and we're having a good time. Come on, watch me do my work.
Create the sound.
All right.
Hey, girl.
You got to. Save the best for last. Okay, so we're going to talk a little bit of money. Okay, moving on. Charese, next question is yours. Remember, we need a VIP answer. Okay, so solopreneurs and small businesses often overlook financial planning. What are some of the essential steps that they can take to establish a sustainable financial foundation early on?
So I would always start with a budget, right? So figuring out what costs what. One of the things someone has asked me and continue to ask me is, oh, do you have an office? Well, after I looked over my numbers after COVID, I was like, pay $2,500 for overhead, an office, utilities, when now 80% of my clients don't even live in the state of Virginia. It doesn't make sense to acquire that kind of expense, right? So going line by line on what you need to budget. Also, something I do in tax planning is, can we consolidate some things? Actually, when I looked over my own numbers, I was like, I'm using an app to track my mileage. I'm using an app to do invoicing. I'm using an app. Baby, there got to be an app that does all three of these things, like where I can collectively, and sure enough, QuickBooks does all of those things. So look over all the apps that you're utilizing and see if there's something that you're not underutilized, because, we get comfortable using the things that we already know. So I was like, well, I'm already using my LQ, might as well just stay in there. But why use it if it can be in QuickBooks, right? And it's already calculating the deduction for me and already keeps the mileage rate that the government's already issued. So I don't have to do much work or finessing or massaging of my numbers. So actually going through your budget, and then also in the planning, projecting. So if you are going to buy that computer, right, you've already projected. Like, I already put in my budget that I'm going to buy a computer every other year because technology advances so quickly, right? So I need the upgrade of it all, the software of it all. I have to pay to keep, my tax in compliance and the software that I use called Drake, right? So also thinking, so we really need to start thinking. Instead of thinking of a now, you should have a 1, 2, and a 3-year pushing forward the anticipation, right? Because then if you're betting on this government contract or more revenue coming in, then you can also accommodate for any expenses and then quantifying like when it's time for you, because you'll say, oh, I don't know if I make enough money to hire an assistant. Well, if you're projecting for that and you know what your numbers are, you can also project your expenses and when that cost will come and when you'll be able to afford that person, and also quantify how many contracts you need to have to be able to also hire the assistant, right? So
what are the first steps they should take in learning or implementing something like QuickBooks or hiring a bookkeeper?
Well, I'm going to piggyback off the other ladies. Well, first of all, you need to know what you're asking for. And I know you're like, well, I don't know what I don't know. Well, because when I say I'm a fractional CFO, most people are like, what is that? So it's bookkeeping and tax strategy like put together, because I started as a tax professional first. Okay. So maybe the thought process is, do you want someone who can do all of the things? I do have clients who have CPAs and a bookkeeper, right? And they keep those things separate. So they have like a team of people. So first you need to quantify what you're asking for. Because you might find too, I do have a couple clients, they do their own bookkeeping, but we meet once a quarter so that we can pay their estimated taxes, go over what they made. I just ask a couple of like CFO questions like, okay, I see you ran a Google ad and a Facebook ad. What was your conversion rate? And if you're like, I don't know, Well, I'm like, well, you're wasting money if you don't know what's actually hitting and what's not, right? So why keep running a Google ad if most of your clients are coming from Instagram? Like, make it make sense, right? So it's November, right? We're already in the middle of the month. We already knocking on 2025 as we speak, right? And I usually come up with an anchor word for the year, and the word maturity keeps coming to mind to me. And maturity in entrepreneurship, what I find is, and this kind of aligns with what she says, you started the business in 2017, you didn't start making money until 2022, and what I find is, and I've been guilty of it, right, is consuming, buying a whole bunch of programs, systems, notebooks, journal. Girl, I love me a journal. Pat, go ahead, give me a, and Sharvette gave us some pink pens too. I'm gonna be using the pink pen, okay? So I say that to say we don't know what, and also you don't know what's going to work. You got to start implementing, right? When will the days of us, again, you started the business 5 years ago and like things didn't pan out or whatever. Life happens. Life is always going to life, right? But at some point we have to be the doing part of it all, right? So implementing, and then also mindset, very much. Like entrepreneurship, that's actually the easy part for me, but like actually training my mind to being like, okay, I did make 6 figures and now I do have to write the check. And then also, you know, I know you guys have heard this before, like don't say things, you know, say things as they are, as you want them to be, right? So complaining about writing a check, right? I mean, you're standing in the midst of an answered prayer. Didn't you just say to your financial person, your CPA, you wanted to make 6? So I'm a little confused.
But Charese, that's exactly right. I never say I have to go into the office. I say I get to go into the office.
Right.
I don't have to write the check. I what? Get to write the check.
Right, exactly.
So these are problems that we prayed for. When I was working for the crazy man that told me I should be changing the oil and everything, I prayed for the opportunity to write somebody's check, including my own.
Right.
So we have to do everything that comes with that. We got to pay the taxes. We got to talk to people the right way about the finances.
Right.
Those are things we get to do as entrepreneurs.
Yeah.
Right?
Right.
That's it. Now.
Up with that inventory, because you can there are certain tax deductions and things that you can take care of.